And we are live, InnerZension YouTube, and we have a wonderful interview coming up with our wonderful guest, Katie Hall, specializing in health and wellness and mindset. And, I don't think there's a whole lot of doubt as to why these things are important. And I can go through my examples in my own personal life, but we'll do that next. Oops, cut that off a little bit too early. Welcome to InnerZension Radio. I'm Chris McClary, your host, and I have had a big transformation in my own life with health. And physical health is important, but mental and emotional health are equally important. We're going to be talking about all those here in a moment with expert coach Katie Hall. I guess I was on the road for pretty much heart attack, addictions, overweight, etc. I won't say that I'm perfect now or in perfect health, but I'm in a whole lot better health than I was. I'm not yet advocating for a ketogenic diet, but I just started that, and I am feeling quite a bit better, even though I came from a pretty healthy state already. Being physically healthy is absolutely critical for having any sort of inner peace. And I think that should be obvious, but there is a state of physical wellness where you kind of feel like high on life. Not like a drug high, but for some people it is like a drug high. And we'll see what Katie says about that. So I forgot to transition over to this other camera. We are going to invite Katie onto the show. Katie, we're now live. How are you? Welcome
Hi,
to
Chris.
InnerZension Radio.
I'm doing well. How are you?
Oh, yeah, we're just getting all this radio stuff, live stuff all figured out, but we'll get there. Um, Katie is a health and mindset coach, founder of Sundali Wellness Coaching Company. She's got a biology degree, but also a master's degree in education. And she's from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and she carries all these different certifications. We're going to go into this a little bit more detail so she can explain this and we can kind of know who she is. Okay, so where do we want to begin, Katie? Do you want to talk about your certifications, LCSI and ART? How about that?
All right. I do have a degree in biology and my master's in secondary science education. So, where I taught for the majority of my career, so about 8 years of teaching, I worked with primarily at-risk youth. And so, to be able to work with them effectively and manage all of the different aspects of their lives so that they would be able to functionally come into a classroom and be able to focus on learning, I needed to be trained in life space crisis intervention, which is the LSCI certification, and also ART, which is aggression replacement training. So this helps the students who come from various backgrounds of trauma, anxiety, all different kinds of things in their world, and allowed me to be able to help spot those triggers or the red flags that they carried in and be able to work them or coach them into a place of more peace so
Mm-hmm.
that they could be open to the learning process.
So, does this transition into, I assume you're working more with adults now in your coaching business? Does
Yes.
do these certifications transition into helping, or you kind of abandoned them for other processes?
No, they transition very nicely. The majority of clients that I'm working with now are coming to me with, a wide array of experiences in their background, whether it be anxiety, some mental health struggles, and, just coping with daily stresses. And so I'm able
Mm,
to use those specific certifications to help take them through the process of recognizing what's bothering them and then slowly transitioning down to finding a place of calm so that they're open to learning new things and experiencing new parts of
mhm.
themselves.
Tell me a little bit about your global outreach. You've been all over the world, it looks like. And how does that exposure to different cultures help you in your business or coaching? I hate using the word business because it's more of just helping. How does it help your helping?
I definitely like that label on it better than the business side. But yeah, so I worked for a little while in between teaching positions I actually started as a tutor for international students.
Wow.
And in the company that I started in, I was quickly, moved through the ranks and became the manager of global outreach, which was really exciting for me because I got to take my teaching background and my love of travel to go all over the ASEAN countries. And so what I would do there is basically, you know, talk about how great education is, the learning process, and what it is to truly open yourself to all the possibilities that are out there. And I would meet with different schools, different families, and a variety of students, and actually bring them back to the States so that they could experience a different kind of education.
Wow.
Um, so it was really, really exciting. Definitely impacted my business and
Hmm.
my personal training because it made me more open to the world around me. I had lived, in a very, very small town and hadn't really experienced very much. And
Hmm.
so to be able to go out and see different aspects, see different methods of healing, different forms of medicine, experiencing them myself, it just really broadened my picture of everything.
These countries that you were in, Indonesia, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, Vietnam, um, are they more peaceful in general, or is America more peaceful? I mean, not like anti-war, but people inside of themselves. Are they more at peace than we are, or are we more at peace?
So the majority of places that I visited, I noticed and I was so drawn to how peaceful the people were that I encountered. And they talked at length with me about me being an uptight American, because I walked into most of my meetings with a set agenda and I had all kinds of energy.
Hmm.
um, but in conversation with them, it was incredible to watch them and listen to them and really feel that they were coming from a very peaceful place. And that even trickled over into nutrition, and having meals with them
Mm.
and learning you can actually create your own peace by eating certain types of food at certain times of day. And at the time, I had really no appreciation for what all of that meant in a large package as I do now. So that was really an incredible experience.
So, is it mainly nutrition that's the difference over in ASEAN countries, or is there other things that we're missing here that why
Um,
we don't have as much inner peace
I
in
think
general?
nutrition is a big, big component of things. But I also feel like there is just a more inherent depth of gratitude. Every day is seen as a beautiful gift, and every person they come in contact with is looked at as an incredible experience. And so I think just the basic outlook on life and really appreciating all the things that are coming to them is a big difference as well.
Hmm. So bonding, relationships. Other guests have mentioned the importance of relationships, but it sounds like their beliefs around relationships are remarkably different.
Absolutely. And really just kind of stepping back and honoring the different people in your life and going through the different processes of how you meet people and how to be fully present with them when you are talking with them. I think that's, often a very easily overlooked thing because, we're able to be on our phones messaging, you can be on a laptop messaging, you can be watching TV. And so you can have a conversation, not be fully present, but you can have many conversations at once. While I was there, it was definitely a reverse priority, really
Mhm.
being fully present with the person that you're talking with and embracing everything that is coming from that exchange.
Do they have smartphones over there?
Yes,
They're
absolutely.
holding their smartphone but not looking at it while they're talking to someone else, and they don't show up to dinner with their smartphone.
For the most part, no, that was a big no-no. I had
Hmm.
inadvertently done that a few times,
Oh,
and
really?
yeah, I didn't even realize it or think about it. And it was immediately corrected that this is mealtime. We are taking time to honor our bodies, honor the food. So that's something that I've carried with me, and I'm really grateful for that experience.
Mhm. There is some truth in that kind of rule. I've heard that rule for families, and that it does bring more bonding with the family, and that's what we want with the family is a chance to bond. A lot of families don't even have a family dinner anymore because everyone's so busy running around getting stuff done. All right, so health and mindset coach. So which one's more important, health or mindset, Katie?
Um, I really think that they are both equally important. I think that, health is 50% of the package, mindset is 50% of the package. But in order to have the full package, I really believe that mindset really needs to be in a very positive place.
Mm-hmm. So how do you start with your clients then? You start with kind of a overall lifestyle movement. Do you make sudden lifestyle changes, or are these kind of slow steps towards a healthier perspective?
So typically, when I start with my clients, I do my very best to avoid harsh lifestyle changes. Because typically the more change that a person needs, the less that they can actually handle. So my main philosophy is to say that small hinges swing big doors. When we look at lifestyle and mindset changes, we really want to look at where you are right now. And then we want to look at the picture of where you want to ideally be. And then we work together to actually bridge the gap between those two. So looking at making, some small mindset changes very first. Goal setting, identifying what your anchors are, what's going to get you through, those obstacles that will probably hop in your way and potentially prevent you from reaching your goals. How can we identify those positive things that will carry you through, take you to what your goals are?
Okay, so I am very interested and excited about listening to this idea of the plateau because we're starting to get a little bit of feedback. Anyway, talk about the plateau.
um, so my largest philosophy in my coaching comes from this concept of finding the plateau and navigating the plateau. Most people at first blush when I talk about a plateau, they think, well, wait a minute, aren't you a health coach? Why are you talking about landscapes? um, so the plateau is really to represent the balance and the internal peace and satisfaction that we have with our lives. Earlier, I mentioned, that I myself was a little bit uptight and was always go, 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 go. Really, what I was doing was basically sprinting up and down the mountains in my life. So, not really ever allowing myself to come to a flat place where I could rest, a plateau. So, whenever I talk to clients about finding their plateau, that's looking at that picture of where they are now and where they want to be and finding how to bridge the gap in between those two, finding the plateau. So let's look at your habits. Let's look at what some of your triggers are. How are you potentially sabotaging yourself? And how can we take some slow steps over that last mountain to bring you to your place of balance? And then once you get there, When we find some quiet, our initial reaction usually is to go find some more noise,
Mm-hmm.
to find something else to occupy our minds instead of really just learning to be comfortable in our own skin and tapping into our authentic selves and what makes us most authentically happy, which then has that, ripple effect around us to positively influence the lives of the people around us. So finding the plateau is finding your balance and then learning to truly embrace that. So whenever another mountain or a stressful event comes into your life, you are better equipped with how to cope with that so that maybe it's not such a large mountain and you're able to find your plateau again.
Is the plateau a state of non-achievement? I'm going to need you to get those headphones because I'm getting some bad feedback when I talk.
All right, hold on 1 minute.
And while she's talking, um, what I'm interested in is the plateau versus stair steps to a higher life. Go ahead and plug those in because I'm not going to be able to talk.
You know what? I don't think I'm going to be able to plug these in on my laptop. I
Okay,
think we're going to have to do it on my phone.
do this for me. Just it's okay if you talk.
Okay.
So just talk more about the plateau, how to get there. I'm wondering if there's non-achievement in the plateau. Okay.
So how to get to the plateau? That's allowing yourself to take small steps to success. So, for instance, if you were to come to me and say, Katie, I have a lot of anxiety and I really just can't seem to find a good routine in my life that allows me to be healthy for more than a few weeks at a time. And then I do really well, and then I trickle off, and then I do really well, and then I trickle off. So, taking these small steps together to really build momentum, build confidence, knowledge, and self awareness, all while focusing on nourishing the mind, body, and spirit connection is really a very powerful interaction. Learning and helping someone else realize that just because you take, 5 positive steps and maybe you trip a little bit and fall, does that mean that you need to give up and say, oh, forget my goal, forget my balance, forget everything that I wanted? No, you're human. You have to allow yourself to be human and then be able to use those anchors that I talked about to pull yourself back up and keep taking your small baby steps, because those baby steps to your more authentic self and that vibrant type of lifestyle that you want to live will be right there and be easily attainable.
Does the plateau what does the plateau have to do with authentic self?
So the plateau and finding your place of unique balance, being able to just be on that flat plane and having solid routine and feeling comfortable in your own skin also means that you are tapping into your best version or most authentic version of yourself, really having the courage to take a close look at yourself and what you truly need and embracing what that is. I hear a lot of times, well, I'm afraid to let go of my old self or of my old habits because what's going to happen when I do that? That can be a very scary thing. And a lot of people envision themselves almost falling off a cliff when you do that and feeling like you
Mm-hmm.
have no lifeline. When really, when you let those things just fade away and maybe not hold you back so hard, you are able to get in touch with what you authentically need as a person and what your beliefs are and what lights you up inside. And you are able to do that walking strongly forward on each of those steps, plateau, gaining strength.
Does the plateau get better? Are we getting better or just maintaining on this plateau?
So on the plateau, you are definitely learning to maintain. So while you have that long stretch of flat land, it's mostly about maintaining and then ultimately getting better. until you hit that next incline of reaching the next level or up leveling yourself.
How do you know when
So
that's at play?
So it depends for each person. It could take quite a while to feel comfortable and saying, okay, this is where I am right now. I'm just going to maintain my exercise, my nutrition. I'm satisfied with healthy weight loss. I'm satisfied with my positive mindset. Whenever you start feeling like, okay, it's time for another challenge, or I really feel like I am ready to try something new, that's when it's time to up level yourself. Reassess your goals and really look at, what do I want now? What does my authentic self want now? How can I better myself now?
And people like me who habituate to achievement are going to feel that maybe too early and start out too early.
And that's a very common thing. I actually have a very good friend of mine who, found a good routine, found some really good solid nutrition plans, and made a lot of progress very quickly. And when I talk about very quickly, I mean 30 days or less. And so that's a drop in the bucket when you think about
Mm-hmm.
lasting change and progress. So there is someone that would need a gentle or firm reminder that I think you better just let this set for a little while. Really get comfortable in this and give it another 60 days, another 90 days, and allow yourself to be comfortable in this. Really get a good handle on it before we look at what that next goal is. By manifesting the next goal too early, you'll find that you're probably not able to stick with that goal, or that goal is going to continue to evolve over time and it's going to look vastly different than when it started, which makes it very difficult to stay on a solid trajectory towards achieving the end result that you really want, or the next up level you really want.
Mm-hmm. You talk about the unique plateau, the healthiest, most vibrant version of yourself. And I can't talk long because I'm getting that feedback, but talk about the unique plateau.
When I talk about a unique plateau, so there's a difference. The plateau itself is the reference point for balance, your authentic self, and your most peaceful version of yourself. When we look at a unique plateau, that's for every single person, because nobody's plateau is going to look the same. We all look different, we have different characteristics, and that means that your plateau is going to be just as unique as you. How you arrive there, what you do there, and how you stay there, and then how you transition to the very next one.
Mm-hmm. The way I see the plateau is, in my model, a state of being. And Katie, I've muted you for now just so I don't get that feedback. I'll unmute as I kind of finish this little idea I've been formulating. I wanted to talk a little bit more extensively throughout, but the feedback was preventing me from doing it. I have a model with being and doing, and I have some flat areas on my chart which are being, but then doing is, so it's kind of like a stair step, and as we get better, we enter that new higher state of, I guess, plateau in this case, which is a state of more being. Now I think you've got both of those combined together, so we're habituating better, more healthy standards for ourselves, and we're spending enough time on that plateau to solidify it, make it more of not just like a quick diet to lose weight and then we're back to the same old. This is like a permanent lifestyle change. And then once you've habituated that, you kind of feel this anxiety, not like anxiety, but kind of like there's something missing. I can be doing even more now. I've tasted what this kind of improvement feels like. What if I do this? Is that, am I getting that right?
Absolutely. That was really a beautiful way to say that. So, definitely the plateau is, a state of being. That's just learning to be comfortable in your own skin, learning how to fully embrace everything around you, and also gain the most energy from that until you get to that point where you have that little kind of gnawing at yourself where you're going, okay, I think it's time for the next thing. I've learned this, now I would like that. Very similar, if you're an athlete, once you've trained for a 5K, okay, I got 3 miles down, no problem. And I've stayed competing at 5Ks for quite a while. Now I'm ready for a half marathon, or now I'm ready for this next bigger goal. And once you get there, enjoying what that looks like, deriving strength from that, and then saying, okay, now it's time for the next big competition.
Okay, and that begs the question through the lifespan then, if we're getting, better and more healthy and all that and achieving and that kind of thing and doing it well with balanced states on the plateau and good states of being, um, what about kind of the backside of life where people are retiring and do they see themselves, do you coach them down to lower plateaus or how does that work?
So I don't necessarily think that it's a lower plateau. Um, I think whenever you hit that point in your world, your goals change. Maybe you're not looking to up level yourself physically all the time. Maybe you're more concerned with up leveling yourself in your acceptance of the things around you and setting aside the worries that, can be in your life to really embrace new, different things in your world. Whether that be starting to learn to love downtime and really enjoying that part of your life and focusing a little bit more on family rather than on your own unique needs. I think that those things change over time as you do.
Well said. Talk a little bit about these workshops that you got. You have workshop series in the Pittsburgh area, or is that beyond Pittsburgh?
So right now, mostly throughout the Pittsburgh area, and I have two basic workshop series. So one is actually a 4 week intensive workshop series. So for about 2 hours once a week for 4 weeks, I meet with people at various nature centers and we go through basically an expanded coaching session with me. So there's a group session, we have individual coaching, and I've also incorporated meditation, some breath work, and time being outside. I absolutely love being outside, and I'm a firm believer that there are just as many vitamins and minerals in the air outside as there are in the food that we eat. And so it's really exciting to be able to show people that and, show someone, here's how you can tap into your authentic self while you're outside. Here's how you can gain some nutrition, improve your mood, boost your energy, and really just feel more connected with yourself and everything around you.
Does the concept of the plateau start at the very first group session where you is that where you introduce it, or is this more of an advanced thing where we got to get some foundation work squared away first? Or do you set them on this state of being, kind of doing in new habituated lifestyles? When does the plateau show up?
So the plateau appears usually after several sessions. The
Mm-hmm.
initial sessions are mostly let's figure out where our sights are set. Let's figure out where your mindset is and what kind of shift work we need to do to get your mindset in a place where you can readily accept the plateau and everything that comes with the plateau. Because, just as with anything, preparation is key and it's very important to prepare yourself, your mind, your body, and your spirit for the next steps that you're going to take so that they can be successful and so that they can be lasting.
Mhm. Um, okay, so based on all this experience that you've had literally around the world, internationally, and through your certifications and your coaching experience, what do you think, based on how you've seen all these various people and the level of inner peace that they have? Think back on the people with the most inner peace and bring out for our listeners what you think are the one or two biggest blocks to inner peace, and then how do you dismantle that or those?
So I really think the two biggest blocks to inner peace, first one, yourself. I think that that can be a huge roadblock. Usually when I talk to people and whenever I express, the more change someone needs, the less they can handle. Um, you know, Often my clients say, I need XYZ and I need it in this amount of time. We all know exactly what we need, but actually allowing ourselves to take that leap and open ourselves up to what we need is a huge block because there's a lot of fear there, fear of the unknown, and not wanting to let ourselves down. So that is definitely a substantial block. I think another substantial block is our lifestyle or the people that are in our lives. Um, it's interesting when I ask my clients, okay, so we've looked at your goals and here's where we want to get to. So here's what we're going to do to get there. Who are your anchors going to be? I talked about those a little bit ago. And the anchors are really things or people that help see us through some of those blockages, usually us being our own worst enemy. And often it takes several sessions for people to figure out what their anchors truly are. Because at first blush, it's well, I don't know. I don't know who I could talk to. I have a favorite song, but I don't think that's going to do anything for me. So that in and of itself, just kind of figuring out, what in your world is going to help you out can be a substantial blockage.
Well, I couldn't agree more. These the relationships just seem like a continued theme, not across all my interviewees, but for the majority of them say that relationships are at least on top three on a state of inner peace, which is kind of bizarre because we're teaching people how to have that inner calm, which is inside of us, no matter who we're talking to or who are around or what kind of circumstances are around us. But there are varying levels of relationships, and you've also obviously got the kind of the lowest is probably not the vacant relationship, but the abusive relationship. And then the step up is going to be no relationship. The step up is there's somebody there, but you can't really, maybe you can even talk to them, which is a step up. You can talk to them, but it's not really emotionally connected. We don't understand each other, or there's something about the other that you don't really accept. And then the step up from there is that you're able to connect. At least you understand the other person emotionally, and you're not trying to change their emotional states, and they feel accepted. Then the even higher, the highest one is where the relationship is helping each other achieve their passion or their life mission, or helping them pursue what they came to earth to do. And those relationships are very far and few between, but they don't have to be romantic relationships. They're just, you know, they could be best friends. It could be a sponsor if you're in an addiction thing, or it could be your therapist, or a coach. And but it is kind of neat when your romantic partner is also that highest rung of what I can conceive of highest rung of relationships. Well, how would you change what I just said or add to it, Katie?
I don't think that I would change anything. Um, what I would add to that is that A, I completely echo that. And B, I really love the idea of the rungs of a ladder when we look at our relationships. And I think initially, whenever, a person is asked, well, who could be your anchor? You know, initially people say, well, I have all these friends, but I don't talk to anybody about anything. I would never talk to someone about, my struggle with food or nutrition or, can I get to the gym enough? Because that's embarrassing and I don't want anyone to know that. So I think it's really interesting it kind of rocks you back on your heels a little bit when you have that moment. And then you really look at the world around you and you think, okay, where are my relationship priorities? And how are those priorities actually nourishing me? Because if I don't have those things to substantiate myself and my goals in the various ways that I need that, then how am I fully experiencing everything around me and myself? And how am I drawing strength from the various relationships in my world?
Well said. You work with a lot of codependency.
My goodness, yes. And whenever I look at those things, a lot of my clients will say things like, well, I can't take time to go do this for myself because then this person will be upset, or then my child will be upset, or I will feel like I'm letting someone else down. And it's really, impressing upon them that you can do everything for everyone and be completely drained and have nothing left for yourself or for them, or you can detach and love, and set some invisible boundaries for yourself so that that issue of seen and unseen codependency doesn't quite have such a strong hold. And once you're able to detach and love, then both sides of that equation actually get stronger. You yourself feel better, you have more energy to care for the other person. The other person sees all the amazing things that you're doing, they draw strength and energy from that. And both parties end up blossoming into these incredible things. And then you have a very interesting and a deeper shared relationship.
I think the very start of breaking into the codependency pattern is to convince and show the two people how to have their own emotions and allow the other person to also have their emotions and teach them how to live in that kind of paradigm, because the codependent person typically is kind of inactive or motivated only by experiencing or taking on the other person's emotion. And unbeknownst to them, there's a power struggle happening between them where the non codependent person is actually winning at that point, and the codependent person doesn't know it. Well, neither one knows it because it's an unconscious thing. But anyway, I think the key is, especially for the codependent person, is to let the other person have their emotion, and then you don't have to change it. You don't have to convince them that it's the wrong emotion. But all you have to do is just understand that it's there, that it's theirs, and just accept that they have an emotion, period. So I can now go to the mall and I know that there's frustration, anger, or loneliness in the other person, but I need to go get some bras or some underwear. Not me. This is the codependent person. This is typically a female, but not always. Not always. There's male codependents as well. And I think we all display some codependency in different occasions in our lives as well. Even the most introverted people, which is kind of bizarre to me, but we all do. I experienced it. I remember those time periods. So letting the whole thing of codependency is almost like a power move by the non-codependent person. So let them have their emotion. There was
Absolutely.
no
Yeah.
question there.
You absolutely, I agree. That was great.
Katie, how do people get a hold of you if they want to get some coaching or just ask you some questions?
So I have my email address, which is sundaliwellnesscoachingco@gmail.com. You can visit my website, sundaliwellnesscoachingco.com, or you can call me. My number is 724-487-9867.
Awesome. I'm going to try and talk and see if there's no feedback. It was an absolute pleasure to have you on the show, Katie. Thanks for bringing your wisdom on here and look forward to talking again. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for inviting me to be on here with you. And it was wonderful to have a chance to talk with you.
Awesome. Good luck in these workshop series. I wish I could go and see one or two or three and experience
Me
that.
too. And thank you so much.
All right. Until next time.